Hi guys, another week that Arsenal prolongs this title race that nobody thought would be a title race by this point of the season. I got up super early to try and watch the game. Really good start to the game by the Gunners. They played some really good football on the front foot. Put Bournemouth under a lot of pressure, and Bournemouth are a really good side, very well coached. Iraola has done a great job with that team. Learned something in the week that was saying if the league had started in November, by which point they had played 10 games, I think, or, the league had had 10 rounds of match days. Since November, Bournemouth have been the fifth best side in the Premier League. And so this game was always going to be uncomfortable, at least in my view, even though it ended up with a 3-0 scoreline. I think it was one of those weird, uncomfortable games because now they are all singing from the same hymn sheet, and they're getting their coaches' messages much quicker than when we first played them earlier in the season. So, with that said, also there was like the nerves of like, are we going to stumble? Even though we're the better team, and I think most people were comfortable in knowing that, but once it kicks off, you never know. And then early on, Arsenal are applying a lot of pressure, playing some beautiful stuff, but not converting, which is, stuff we've seen before. As much as we are the top scoring team in the Premier League this year, we've gone, I think, about 5 games when we haven't scored, or 5 or 6 games. I think 4 or 5 games where Arsenal haven't scored a goal. It's happened several times. And as I was watching, I was kind of feeling like, this could be like another Villa situation where we play well, and then, they grab something on the counter attack because they have good players up front. Solanke is one of the top scorers in the Premier League this year. Justin Kluivert seems to have found a home at Bournemouth, and Semenyo is a talent, So yeah, I was kind of concerned a little bit. And then also another thing that really upset me was the fact that Ryan Christie got away with what was a really reckless challenge. I hear that the VAR said it was a reckless challenge, but not too dangerous, or whatever the language was. But I remember seeing Fabio Vieira getting sent for something like something similar to that, but I think it was even less high of a foot. It landed on someone's knee at the Emirates. I think it's the only red card Fabio Vieira has as an Arsenal player. Anyway, so it felt like one of those things where this game could go wrong, even though we are playing well, which is what happened basically in the Villa game. Early kickoff, sun is out, and it starts to feel like the fans need something from the players to get the game going. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to have to calm my titties here and just relax a bit, because, this team has given me very little reason to be nervous, but I was. And so as we kept playing and missing chances, like those nerves got more and more intensified. But a lot of good things were happening in that period, though. Kai Havertz has really become like a different player to the man that was playing in the earlier parts of the season, when people inside the club, rival fans. When I say inside the club, I mean inside the club's fan base, and rival fans and pundits. Everybody was kind of getting obsessed with goals and assists. He wasn't getting that in the beginning of the season, and we can't lie about that. But I feel like his season was not as bad as many people were hoping to make us believe that it was. And I think there was also quite a lot of inheritance in the way he was perceived from the Chelsea side of things. I think there was a lot of the way Arsenal fans who don't really watch Chelsea were understanding Kai Havertz. I think, and fans tend to know the players of their club. So like, I don't think, people maybe would have had a lot of reasons to distrust what Chelsea fans were saying about Kai. However, I do think Chelsea fans saw a different player, and the player they were talking about was the players that was the player they did see at Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea were able to ever unlock Kai consistently into the player that they thought they were buying. So on the one hand, I'm not saying Chelsea fans were lying about who they thought he was. I do think, however, if you take a step back and you see how Chelsea gave him Frank Lampard twice as a coach, and Graham Potter, who was also given a flood of new incoming players to coach, and then Frank Lampard again. Like Frank Lampard in the beginning when they bought him, Tuchel, probably Kai's best time at Chelsea, Graham Potter, Frank Lampard. And so yeah, his time was worth the questions and whatnot. But this man, don't want to talk too much about the Chelsea in the first half of the season, but like since the Dubai period, actually, I think it started in that FA Cup game with Liverpool in terms of like him as a number 9 consistently, or 9.5, false 9, whatever you want to call him. He had been playing well first half of the season. I think one of my favorite performances by him was the Newcastle one where he almost got sent off, or people were crying for him to get sent off. But since January, if Arsenal had bought a player in January and that player scored 9, 10 goals, and also now in this season, even though he played half of the season in a deeper position, he's Arsenal's first player since Alexis Sanchez to score an assist in 4 separate games throughout a single season. He could have had an assist today, could have had another goal today. He was immense today. He really, really, really was good today for Arsenal. Kai Havertz contributed in all phases of the game. He was a big in our defensive third, giving us an outlet, carries, winning defensive duels, and he's got legs on him. He can dribble, he can run with the ball at his legs, he can play a 1-2 and get it back. And he had a lot of the number 90 stuff, like a knockdown as a target man for Declan Rice, who doesn't convert. Plays Saka through, very nice sliding tackle, and then plays Saka through another time through 2 square balls. One, there's a defender, I think Smith or somebody, who tackles beautifully, like very late challenge, but needed to be perfect, but it was. So Saka can't score, but then there's another one where he plays it to Saka, and Saka, I don't think, realizes how much time he has on the ball, and he pretty much kicks it straight at the goalkeeper. I know a lot of people have probably changed. I mean, I hope that a lot of people have changed, actually. Let me not say I know, but I'm seeing that there's a lot less Kai Havertz negativity talk, but I'm not seeing a lot of praise. So that's why I'm saying maybe the slowing down of the negative talk means people are starting to see what this guy is really doing for this team. And I would go as far as to say, without him as the number 9 option, in addition to Jesus and Eddie, I don't know if we're in this race without him. And then obviously a lot of the set piece goals that we've scored. He's been just really, really good for us this year. And long may this continue. Like, I don't think this is form. I think he's starting to come into the player that maybe, he was always meant to develop into. Yeah, he's so big, he's fast, he can make any run a forward player can make, and he sees space before other people see it. He can run through from deep, he can run in behind, he can run channels. His ability to read the game is, I think, what sets him apart. The fact that he's got the ability to execute on his ideas makes him, for me, one of the players. That's what separates him from a lot of other players that we could have bought for that position. Ryan Christie was lucky not to have a yellow card. Had a couple of bites, one on Saka, had another one on Havertz. Very fiery little player, but he was lucky today to only be booked in the 94th minute. What else happened in that first half? Oh, Kai actually wins the penalty. I almost forgot about that. I hear some people saying it was a soft penalty. I don't care. I really don't care. Kai Havertz has no responsibility to get out of the way. The goalkeeper puts his leg there. Kai can drag his foot all day. If it makes contact and he falls, I don't give a shit. Penalty. Because I've seen, again, far less penalties given in this league than that one. But you know, I don't know what the beef is, but Matt Holland, who was on the US commentary, was talking about, yeah, he bought that penalty, didn't win it. It doesn't matter. A lot of penalties, far less than that one, have been given, and I've seen them given. I've seen a player back heel into David Luiz's knee and fall at Wolves, and David Luiz, whatever you want to say, gets sent off and penalty. So I don't feel bad at all. What else happens here? Osaka comes up. I don't know why I get nervous. It's like every time he stands up to take a penalty, for some reason, I feel more secure in someone like Odegaard, even though Odegaard is taking far less penalties than Saka. Saka has only missed one penalty for Arsenal. And then, obviously, famously, he missed that big one for England in the Euros. But every time this young man stands up, like, I don't know if I'm alone in this. I don't think I am. But yeah, it's one of them where I just, I can't watch sometimes. But the confidence of the young man, the poise, and the ability to just have nerves of steel and stand up every time, his number is called, he stands up. So it's a lot of courage. And converts to make it 1-0. And I think Arsenal were deserved leaders at that time. But then after that, I think I didn't like some of the things we were doing. Like, we played so slow after we went up 1-0. And Bournemouth did, at that point, have a lot more possession and were threatening, and they were trying to make it into a game. And they did succeed into doing that. We're too open in those first 15 or so minutes of that second half, I would say. And yeah, it was just one of those things where I just wanted to see us put a lot more pressure on Bournemouth on the counter attack, and we were too ponderous when we were on the break. We were passing too slow. And I remember, like, just tweeting, the next goal is going to be important in this game, and I hope it's Arsenal that gets it, because Bournemouth were at that point starting to do a lot of things. I know they had something in the first half where Solanke kind of steals the ball away from Gabriel, who looked a bit nervy earlier on. And but Saliba, those guys are just an awesome partnership. One makes a mistake, Saliba comes in, intervenes. Solanke doesn't even get a shot off from that. But I think the second half, Bournemouth really, really played some of their best stuff, I would say. Raya had to make a save or two. Solanke had a left-footed shot that got saved by David Raya. And there were quite a few times when I started to panic a little bit. And I was like, why does Arteta not use his bench? And there's still a beef that I have with him, man. Like, he is a genius when it comes to, like, a lot of things in football. And he may still be proven correct for playing these guys at the number of minutes they do play. But there are times where you like to start seeing people getting gassed, and you're like, whoa, Declan Rice is blowing hard here. But then Arteta gets proved right later on, with Rice being up front for to give Leandro Trossard the pass for the second goal. Speaking of Rice, by the way, his growth is just amazing, and he pushes himself even when he looks very tired. He puts the ball through for Leo, and the run he makes for that final goal at the very end, like, that's garbage time. He could have just stayed in midfield to say, okay, we're going to protect the clean sheet, 2-0. No, he busts the gut to get to that ball. Gabriel Jesus finds him. he finishes from a much more difficult position than the one he missed from the Havertz knockdown. Yeah, what a man, what a player. Shout out Declan Rice. He's been big for us. And it's quite clear as well the areas where he can still grow. But this is one of the reasons in the week I was kind of like thinking I think Rice is the for this year the replacement for Granit Xhaka. He's played, if not more than Kai Havertz at number 8, he's played maybe just as much time. And of the two of them, he's definitely the one who plays more, midfieldy, more Granit Xhaka-ish, but with a lot more superpowers than Granit ever had. He has the legs. Granit had stamina, but Rice has pace and stamina. And Rice is a far, far better defensive player. And Rice also carries the threat. I think Granit Xhaka is a better passer than Declan Rice at this stage of Declan Rice's development. But Rice has the ability to change pictures in the game by carrying the ball this way or that way. And at times he does carry it a bit too much. And sometimes he carries it all the way to the player he wants to pass it to, which is not necessary. Like if you want to make the pass early, and then you make your second run to get the ball back. So there's areas there where he can still improve, but I'm very, very impressed with this guy. To think that we have a £105 million player who can still, get better. I think he has nearly 15 goal contributions this season for Arsenal, and by far his biggest contribution as a pro. And so, yeah, I don't know, with the news of Jorginho being extended, Declan Rice might have more minutes at that number 8 position. And, if Partey can't be sold, more reason again to give Declan Rice, minutes at left 8. Between them two old men, they can share the number 6 responsibilities. El Neni goes, maybe you get a younger player to deputize those two oldies. And that other player maybe could be also versatile to play, 6+8 like Declan can. Yeah, it's just been a very, very beautiful season for Arsenal. Those 2 additions, and I mean, have been immense for us. Let's talk about actually the third one of those additions that played and from the start today and has been awarded the Golden Glove today because Jordan Pickford conceded a goal yesterday against Luton, which meant he couldn't, he was the only guy who could have, if he had kept consecutive clean sheets and Arsenal conceded in every game moving forward, he might have tied for Golden Glove, but they conceded yesterday. So Raya didn't even need to keep a clean sheet today to win the Golden Glove, but Arsenal did and Raya did. So now it's done, right? It was done before the game, but the fact that he got another one after the Golden Glove was secure, good for him. I saw some tweets from Ian Wright and a few people saying the Bournemouth goal should have stood. I have a different opinion. I think first of all the referee was bad both ways. I think you could be, depending whatever persuasion you're standing with here, whether it's Manchester City, Bournemouth, or Arsenal, you could have a legit complaint about certain things that happen in this game. You could say the red card should have been given, but it wasn't. You could say the Arsenal penalty was soft and they were never going to overturn it, like once David Coot blew. You could say the foul on David Raya was too soft. But I think Solanke, I think the nudge, he could have gotten away with the nudge, but I think the fact that he tries to go for Raya's left arm kind of makes the goalkeeper seem that he was impeded as the goalkeeper was trying to punch the ball. You could say it's soft, you could say it's not, but arms going up this way, it's enough to make the punch go weird. So, you can't then say he had a terrible game. It's not definitively. There were things that could have been questioned, but I think there's always going to be things like that in football. It's just sometimes they go against you and sometimes they don't. Um, I just can't have a go at him properly. Like I've seen some people. I've also saw some Arsenal fans, by the way, saying, "Yeah, like we got lucky." But maybe we did. I don't know. For me personally, I think he had an okay game. He wasn't bad. He wasn't great. He had an okay game. And I think he was maybe bad on in both directions. Like maybe the disallowed goal versus like also like keeping 11 men and not giving a red card to Ryan Christie. Are we having that conversation about the goal if he gives that red card? Who knows? There's always a lot of what ifs. So, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I think David Coot had an okay game today. Nothing terrible, nothing great. I also think Andoni Iraola is a damn good coach. He made some really good adjustments, and he was missing a few players, but I think he was really awesome, like with the way he kept his team in it, even though we were 2-0 up. It wasn't comfortable. If that goal gets allowed for the foul on Raya or the questionable foul on Raya, whatever way you want to see it, it's 2-1, and then we have another nervy ending. But it wasn't to be because, we found a way to keep them out and instead went the other way and finished the job with a third goal from Declan Rice. There's big time spirit in this team. I was hoping to see Martinelli earlier today. I thought maybe for Saka. I know that the sub is usually to get Leo off for Martinelli, but I thought maybe Martinelli on for Saka. I also thought with Partey getting a yellow card, thought maybe Jorginho could have come on. It's good to see Thomas finish the game without getting sent off or another Arsenal player getting sent off. I think Partey has been good in midfield in the last 3 or so games that he started. There's a player there. I just think he can't cope with that Teta week in, week out, like my starting 11 plays all the time. If he does stay for next season, I really hope that Mikel can maybe figure out a way of using the sports science approach with him. Keep him to between 15 and 2000, 1500 and 2000 minutes. Like, keep him there. Like, don't let him play more than 21, 2200 minutes in the season. Give Georgie, the other half. Like, it's like a proper time split between them two at number 6, and sometimes with Declan Rice there if you want. I think that way you can then maybe invest in a top class midfielder, just one, and then a top class forward player. Again, just one. That way, your squad depth is good and maybe the left back, right? Like, so you can buy 3 players. If Arsenal, for example, have the ability to spend another 150 to 200 mil this year, they'll be able to raise some funds for some of their players this year. There's no way they're not able to sell players. I know, of course, like David Raya was, brought in last summer, but the money for him will be spent this summer. So that's £27 million gone already for this summer. And if Ramsdale leaves, you probably still need a goalkeeper. Yeah, so like Arsenal are in a very good position, regardless of what happens in this title race. I think it's all to play for. Manchester City are probably going to beat Wolves. Manchester City are probably going to win out. We just have to win out as well. So that way, we've pushed them. We've done what we can. Hopefully, something crazy happens on their end and not on ours. That maybe, there's an unforeseen weird game for them, which I mean, like, what am I? They're a special team, man. Manchester City, the way they do things, the way, as much as I hate to think of it that way, they're just special. Like, we're trying to be where they are, and it looks like we are, inching closer. There's no guarantees that we'll be the closest challenger again next year, but like, until this is over, let's just keep winning our games and see where it ends. I just think, yeah, you just have to win your games and then see. Before I head out, like just some really cool stuff happening at in the La Liga and in the Bundesliga today. I saw Stuttgart like really spank Bayern Munich. And Munich, they made a lot of changes, but like they have far more resources than other clubs in Germany. So I don't care what team they put out to get done 3-1. Even if it's because your focus is on the Champions League semifinal, you got done 3-1 by Stuttgart, who, for me, the story is about them rather than saying Bayern Munich did XYZ. I think Stuttgart, they just had like Sven Mislintat just went there as a director of football, technical director or whatever, when he bought Mavropanos, and they had a team, and they were coached by, I think, this American guy. I forget his name. He's got like an Italian name or something. Forget his name. It'll come back to me. They were playing like a 3-4-3 system. And then they were struggling with relegation, and they're an okay team. For them to have what they've done, to push for, top 2, top 3 spots in the Bundesliga within 2 or 3 seasons away from all these struggles, like that's really, really impressive. And like that could get that coach a job. I don't know if he'll get the Bayern job or another English team looking for a good coach. Man United. I don't know, if he will get a chance to stay there, but he's been really good for them. Sebastian Hoeneß, yeah, good coach. Maybe he'll get the Bayern job, maybe he gets another job, but I don't know if he stays beyond this summer at Stuttgart after the work he's done there. Thibaut Courtois is back. In other news, Thibaut Courtois is back from Madrid. Had some really impressive moments in this game today against Cadiz. And made really good point blank 1-on-1 saves. Looks like he's trying to play himself into the team for the semifinal against Bayern Munich. I don't know what Ancelotti will decide, but there's experience on Courtois' side, but there's match fitness and readiness from the side of Lunin. So Madrid have some decisions to make there. And with Guerrero's injury, and I don't even know who's healthy for Bayern to play, Madrid will have to really they were always going to like their chances going back home level. I think they have to really fancy themselves now going into this game at home against Bayern. Anyway, guys, lots of football still left to play in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I hope somebody does Arsenal a favor. It probably won't be Wolves. I think maybe Spurs, maybe West Ham. I don't know if there's any team really that I trust to stop City at this point. They're so close to making history. Yeah, but fingers crossed. And let's see, maybe somebody does a madness. Cheers.